The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Tuesday, the 19th of November. CJ Baumgartner with Corey Tackman. Corey, a lot of stuff as we talk about all the time, but mainly it's a lot of Prep Bowl talking this week. It's pretty much dominated a lot of conversation across the area. It's going to dominate our week here as we talk about getting ready for a state championship for Staples-Motley. And I know we got a lot of good stuff coming down the bend this week, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Dive into what we got to those details for the Staples-Motley Cardinals, because it's not just busy for them, it's busy for fans and parents and fellow students who want to participate in their own way.
Yeah, so Kyle, our good friend at the radio station, sent me this information, which has all of the Staples-Motley Prep Bowl info that you need to know for a fan. And I'm going to try and work on pulling it up here on my screen just so people who are watching on the YouTube page can see it. Corey, where can they find the Morning Sports Desk in video form?
On YouTube, CJ. Hubbard Radio-Wadena. All you got to do is search for Hubbard Radio-Wadena on youtube.com. And well, hey, I mean, if you're watching us live right now, this sounds like a very, very silly thing to be saying.
Yeah, you're like, I already know what I'm doing. You're preaching to the choir here. Here is the schedule for Prep Bowl information for Staples-Motley Cardinal fans. It is Friday, 4 o'clock is the kickoff of 3:30 pregame on the Superstation K106 and on the Fan and at WadenaRadio.com. This is going to be a whiteout game, Corey. Shirts are available for purchase through the Staples-Motley Football Booster Club and at Old 10 Apparel, and they are doing a whiteout for the game. That's, Staples-Motley is going to wear the white jerseys in the game, I believe, so why not have the fans white out as well?
Go with the white out. Fear the flock, I believe, is what those T-shirts say. It was a sea of red at that game in the semifinal, as you saw that whole like top side of the stadium. If you were watching it on TV, or if you could watch it on TV, it's going to be an all white sea of Cardinal fans. It's going to be cool. And the whiteout, by the way, as per requested by the players of the football team. So let's not mess around with this. Those boys need a whiteout. Let's give it to them.
They want it. Let's do it. By the way, there's going to be no Pep Fest like there was a week ago because, they don't have school on Friday because they canceled school at Staples-Motley to say, hey, get down to the game. Go cheer on those Cardinals. You don't get to a Prep Bowl every year. Go enjoy this.
Caravan. There should be an unbelievable caravan of people driving down.
If you're from out of town and you want to go somewhere in Staples or Motley to go eat, now that is the day because nobody will be there to take your table. You can just walk in and you'll be the only one there because the entire state
food yourself, though, is the problem.
That's the thing. You try and go into like the Spot Cafe, the door is locked because they're at the football game. Why wouldn't they be? Send off. The Cardinal football team will leave at 10 a.m. on Friday from the middle high school cafeteria. And there's going to be a little send-off for the Cardinal faithful. So if you want to go cheer the boys on before they leave town, 10 o'clock Friday morning at the school is going to be the place to do it as they leave the parking lot. Of course, purchase your tickets online if you're going to the game. The High School League website is the place to go. And by the way, US Bank Stadium, that's a cashless place there. So you better bring a card if you want to buy some food at the concession stands. I bought a chicken tender basket on Saturday. 10 out of 10 would recommend, would do it again.
Just straight cash, homie, but not
actually the exact opposite. Rather, there is a public fan bus. There's a link. Staples-Motley School District Facebook page will have some of this information. Don't call the offices to sign up. Just register online. You got to do it by Wednesday to get your spot. Remember, they are limited. It's going to be a charter bus leaving the high school at 12:45 on Friday, returning following the end of the game. There's a students-only fan bus. Any 7 through 12 students can ride for the low price, Corey, of free. And you just got to sign up at the activities office by Thursday at noon. The game will be on 45 TV. That's a Hubbard broadcasting property. So, of course, hey, that's there. You can also watch it if you don't have normal cable, you can watch it for free online at kstp.com or the KSTP app on any Roku or Amazon Fire Stick TV device. And of course, look at what it says on this little sheet here, Corey. Staples-Motley says you can listen live at the Superstation, K106, WadenaRadio.com. Hey.
Turns out, been there all year. Why not now?
Why not now? Why not them? Why not this moment? And you can buy apparel. There's some other tournament information. All that's on the high school league website. But mainly the big thing is that the Cardinal football team is going to be sent off at 10 a.m. on Friday, and it's going to be a whiteout for that football team. It's awesome, man. We talked about this a lot yesterday, so I don't want to, go into this too much. But I mean, what the heck? You don't make a prep bowl very often. We haven't covered a prep bowl in this radio station in like 2 decades. We don't have too many local teams getting to the prep bowl. I know Nevis did a year ago, but even then, that's a rare occasion for a team in our, north central Minnesota to get out there. So it's just awesome. And for Staples-Motley, it's been a long time coming. And you know what? They get to kind of use this week as the week to really soak in the hype.
We have, it's been very nice. We've had a number of people reach out on, kind of privately just to say, hey, thanks for the coverage and all that stuff. And obviously we love to do it. And that's a part of the reason why we're all here is to be a part of that. But it takes a lot of me, CJ, to not want to look at those people or respond back to those people and say, hey, this is fun for us too. Like we're happy to do this, of course, and we want to be doing this at every chance that we get. But by golly, we're along for this ride as much as those. Well, maybe not as much as those players are, because that wouldn't be fair. But as much as any fan, we are all fans here and a part of this. And as a matter of fact, we just feel lucky that we get to have our own little special seats set aside for us and feel pretty, this is kind of what it's about, being able to bring these sorts of opportunities that don't come along very often and bring them into people's homes and cars and businesses and shops and on your phone, because of course the Superstation K106 can go with you wherever it is you go via the Superstation K106 app. It's really, this is kind of what it's all about for us on the radio side of things. Yes, absolutely. You're welcome. We're happy that you're enjoying this as much as we are, but you should know that we're really enjoying this too, and we're fans in this whole process. And you'd have to search high and low to find a building that is rooting as hard for the Staples-Motley Cardinals over this entire season, and certainly this tournament run as any other place in the entire state. This is what it's all about for us, for sure.
Right, and selfishly, Corey, have you ever got to compete in a prep bowl?
Compete?
Yeah. No, I haven't. Have you ever gotten to compete in like a state volleyball, basketball, baseball? Like, those tournaments, it's a little bit of, we get to live vicariously through some of these kids because I've never gotten to compete on those levels at all. And, we're not competing, but we get to be there. We get to soak it in. Prep bowls are awesome. And the fact that we get to be there and watch those games and we get to be a part of that history. I mean, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, Corey, or maybe make it bigger than it needs to be, but I mean, you get to feel a part of that Henning Hornet 2019 state basketball championship as much as other people who have been along for that ride, because you were with them all playoff long. When people remember that, if they didn't go to the game, they remember listening to you on the radio call those games. You know what I mean? Like, we get to be a part of this in a way too. And that's not lost on us. We really appreciate and really enjoy these opportunities.
Yeah. So if you want to thank anybody, thank the kids for just continuing to win, because you wouldn't care about us covering Jackson County Central and Chatfield in a championship game.
No.
Thank those kids and the coaching staff. And those are the ones who really deserve all of it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Once again, 3:30 pregame. 4 o'clock kickoff on Friday, Superstation K106 and KNSP, The Fan, online, WadenaRadio.com, and the Superstation K106 mobile app. Gonna be a good one. Okay, we have some special stuff coming up. Follow Sports Cow on Facebook. follow WadenaRadio.com, listen to the Superstation. We're going to be giving you updates all week long for Staples-Motley Cardinal football because we have some special things planned that we are really excited to share with you guys once that gets going. Okay, we have some college news to share, Corey. A pretty big deal for a Division II women's cross-country national championship.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And by the way, full details of this story are already up at WadenaRadio.com. We've got this beautiful...
Shout out to our guy, Zeke.
Shout out to our guy, Zeke. We've got this beautiful... When you go to WadenaRadio.com, you'll see kind of the main header page. You can slide through a lot of different things. But then you'll see podcasts and local news. You'll see entertainment news and country music news. You'll also see local sports. And as of right now, anyway, the top story in the local sports is... Crown College. You know where Crown College is, of course, in beautiful St. Bonnie, Minnesota. The Crown College Polars competed at the NCCAA D2 National Championships on Friday, and they won their first ever national title. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's cool. Why do we care in Central Minnesota? I'll tell you why. Because freshman Mia Arroyo and Olivia Stanley, both from Verndale, were named to the Upper Midwest Athletic Conference second team last week, and they placed 4th and 11th, respectively, in that 5K race. So we have some immediate local ties, and, we've talked a lot about all the great running here in Central Minnesota, and it continues at the collegiate level for both Mia and Olivia. Congratulations to those ladies and that entire team. Crown College women's cross country, your national champions, CJ.
In the what I could only assume the acronym stands for National Collegiate Christian, or like National Christian College Association or something along those lines. When you look at the schools and the team scoring, Crown takes first place. We were just talking about this before we started recording. Bob Jones is a school, not just a dude.
Sounds like the guy finished second place.
Although that'd be pretty impressive. Moody Bible Institute, Faith Baptist, Emas Bible, Emmanuus, whatever you want to put their readings hard. Ozark Christian also rounding out that top spot. But yeah, congratulations to those ladies. They'll remember that forever. And just once again goes to show the strength of running in Central Minnesota and how it's gotten better and better each and every year. And that just goes with the fact that these programs now, 10 years ago, a lot of schools did not have running programs, and especially schools I'm thinking of like Bertha Hewitt and Verndale and some of these other ones that have kind of been a post-COVID addition to a lot of schools' athletic departments. And I speak for Bertha Hewitt in this one respectively, is they added it because there wasn't football initially in the fall of 2020. So they wanted an activity for kids to be able to compete in, and that was cross country, and that was enough to get it off the ground for the future. And schools like Verndale came along around the same time, and just to see those schools now get better and better, they can solidify programs, and it's not just people who picked it up when they were 16, 17. It's kids now who at 12, 11 can start to, be like, oh, cool, maybe I could do cross country instead of just kind of adding it later in their high school careers. So we've said this before in the program, but running in this part of the world gets better and better every year, and it's cool to see that play out at the college level.
Should congratulate, by the way, Mia and Olivia's teammate, Ella Dufault, first place finisher overall. So that first place finish for her individually leads to a first ever national title for Crown College, the Polars. Congratulations, ladies. Big time deal.
So we were talking about this with Zeke off air. They were the Polars, but weren't they like also something like recently? They were like a different mascot, weren't they? Have they always been the Polars?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I feel like they were called something else. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it feels like they kind of go through a rebrand every once in a while. But congratulations.
No idea. Congratulations to
the Polars, the whatever. Whatever you were before, congratulations. Anyway, Corey, 4 years ago today was the weirdly held, and I only say weird because of the timing of it, the 2020 NBA draft. If you remember, the Minnesota Timberwolves got the top pick. And if you remember, that was a draft where people went, oh, cool, the Wolves got the top pick. Us in Minnesota were like, we got the top pick, but there's no real stud in this draft. I mean, there's Lonzo Ball, there's James Wiseman, or LaMelo Ball, excuse me. There's James Wiseman, there's a couple other players, and there's this Anthony Edwards guy out of Georgia. I mean, who do you take in this draft? Nobody's a surefire talent. Like what a draft to get the number 1 overall pick in when you finally get it. There's no Karl Anthony Towns. There's no Victor Wembanyama. There's no franchise-altering player in this draft. And the Wolves took Anthony Edwards, and turns out he was a franchise-altering player.
So, and this is all hindsight here, but that draft was also the COVID draft.
Right.
So one of the things that happened in this draft was that nobody was able to work out anybody in person. Or if they were in person, it was like they were all private workouts. There were these there were no
combines
team workouts, or somebody's just inviting all of the top prospects and you're going to work out in Chicago for 15 of the 30 coaches or whatever. There was nothing like that. They all had to be individual workouts. And because of that, there was no media involved. There was just a lot of having to watch back college tape. There was not a lot of communication amongst people who hey, yeah, I was at that workout in Indianapolis. I saw this kid and they spent a lot of time with this team. Or I saw this team. There just isn't a lot of the gossipy stuff that happens around draft time wasn't happening with that year's NBA draft. And that is one of the reasons why Anthony Edwards, I mean, you can't say he fell through the crack. He was the number 1 pick, but that's why he was kind of unknown as this kid out of Georgia. Hindsight would tell us the way the NBA draft works, and he would have absolutely flashed in front of everybody if everybody would have been able to see him. Athleticism, competitiveness, his shooting ability, his getting to the rack, and all of those things that people talk about when it comes to draft time with incoming players. We would have heard those conversations. Again, that's just hindsight now, and probably easy to guess that because of what he's turned into. But there's no way he wouldn't have jumped off the page to everybody who would have been able to see him. It just so happened that year that no one was able to see him.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I always remember there's a couple things that stick out to me. One is the fact that I just get to say I was right because there were so many people that wanted to draft LaMelo Ball, which I could not have been more out on that. But James Wiseman out of Memphis was certainly talked about as being a talented player. Of course, had more of a college career, played at a more prestigious college program in Memphis than Georgia is, and kind of felt like that maybe should have been the guy the Wolves could have went with. And I said, Anthony Edwards just feels like the most talented player. He's got just a lot of raw ability, and just take him because I'm not confident in the other ones. Just take that guy and kind of cross your fingers and hope it works out. And oh boy, did it work out. So I get to say I was right about that. Now, I had no idea Anthony Edwards would become this kind of player, so I can't take full credit for that, but just feels good to know that in all the times I've gotten draft picks wrong, this is one I got right. But also the fact that there was like you talked about, those draft workouts were very individual. And if you remember, Anthony Edwards had one with the Golden State Warriors, who at the time had the number 2 overall pick. I can't remember how they got it, if it was with Brooklyn or there was some kind of deal, whatever. They got the number, or I think it was just they were a lottery team that year and they drew the number 2 overall pick. They got the number 2 overall pick, and
Golden State, you're talking?
Yeah.
They got it from the Wolves for D'Lo.
Was it? Because the Wolves had the number 1 overall pick there. I can't remember what went into that trade. Either way,
I think that was the D'Lo.
They traded that pick, which ended up being.
State's never been in the lottery in the last.
Well, they were, because I'm trying to remember, because I think that was
that's the D'Lo.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Okay. Either way, point is because I think they were a lottery team because they won the championship in 22 and then it doesn't matter. Steve Kerr had that workout with Anthony Edwards and basically said, I wouldn't draft you. You're lazy. Like, you're not working hard enough. Like, I don't think he said the lazy word, but I think he basically was like, you need to like improve a lot if you want to make it in the NBA. And Anthony Edwards, in cue the Michael Jordan meme, took that personally and basically has used that as motivation throughout his NBA career. That basically an NBA coach said, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have anything to do with you if you're going to give me this kind of effort. And if you're going to put this out there. And it motivated him, and he's gotten better and better each and every year. And of course, the franchise now is altered, where this was a franchise built around Karl Anthony Towns. And within 15 months of drafting Anthony Edwards, it went to, we should probably start to shift this team around Anthony Edwards.
And it worked.
The Wolves right now are 8-6 on the season. They had a couple horrible, no good, very bad losses to Portland, but they made up for it by going on the road and beating Sacramento in overtime. They also beat the Suns at home on Sunday, thanks to a game winner by Julius Randle. So they're a team that's finding their footing this year, or at least it's the book. We're not going to start to write the book on them until after Christmas. That's kind of been our hard and fast rule. The other thing about the 2020 draft, I just want to remember, Corey, who's the Timberwolves' second round draft pick that year in the 2020 NBA draft?
Second round pick?
Yeah.
Naz Reid?
No, Naz Reid was undrafted in 2019.
Oh, okay. Jaden?
Yeah.
No, that worked out.
Jaden McDaniels. Here's the thing about, at least I'm pretty sure he was the second round pick that year. I'm trying to find the list of guys, or maybe he was like a late first round pick. I'm trying to see. Yeah, Jaden McDaniels was taken with the 28th overall pick.
Yeah.
As well. That was it was the Los Angeles Lakers traded the pick to the Wolves via Oklahoma City. Either way, hitting on that draft, and then also getting Naz Reid. You whiffed on Jarrett Culver, but you found Naz Reid in the year before, so it basically makes up for it. Like, Gerson Rosas was putting together a team. He just couldn't keep his hands to himself, and unfortunately got an early axe. But then Tim Conley comes in, builds his team around Ant and Gobert, and now has kind of gotten some pieces around here. It's so funny how the Wolves weren't good in Ant's first year, but there was Ryan Saunders was still there. But the moment they brought Chris Finch in halfway through that 2020 season and Ant's rookie year, it kind of felt like the franchise started to shift from that point on.
Well, yeah, I mean, they got the player. They got the player.
They got a coach to put with him, and
Carl. I mean, they all of a sudden they had the players, and now they needed the right infrastructure to be able to put around it. That's why getting Kyle Anderson when they got him was so important, and getting Mike Conley is so important. And now the next step for them, and it's not just Ant, but it's for Jaden too, who's been weird, and Mike Conley, who's in a very different phase of his career all of a sudden. They need to figure out. The last time we really saw the Timberwolves play was the most intense, extreme portion of the season. And now we're before Christmas in the following season, and the levels are low, and trying to figure out how, once again, to be a professional in November and December. That is kind of the next level. You got Carl out of there. You got Slow-Mo out of there. Those guys, no matter what you want to say about Carl as a player, he'd been doing it for a long time. And now it's this is a learning curve thing again for Edwards to learn how to be a pro in November and December. And these games are you need to take them serious. And you need to figure out how to be able to pick your spots in the right spots. And yeah, cool, you can lock down anyone, but can you play good help defense on November 19th?
Right. Can you move the ball? Can you make the extra pass on November 19th?
So, and by the way, you traded Carl and brought in Julius, who made a big shot the other night. But how do you play with Julius? How does he fit into what you want to do defensively? Are people going to be in their right spot? You have to try hard to get him to know where to be, because if you're not going to try hard, he's going to want to be in the wrong spot, maybe to make up for you. There's a lot that this Timberwolves team needs to do now all of a sudden.
Julius and Dante DiVincenzo have to play. They have to learn how to play defense with Rudy Gobert.
And they all have to shoot better, period. Shooting's been weird. But This is why you have Anthony Edwards, because he's met the standard expected of him every single time and exceeded it in an unbelievable hurry. So my expectations for this team and him still remain pretty high, albeit a weird start.
By the way, Anthony Edwards this year has not reinvented his game, but of course they lost Karl Anthony Towns, who was the Wolves' top 3-point shooter last year by far and away. Their best 3-point shooter. He's tried to make up that gap by literally shooting all of the threes to ever exist. The volume of 3-pointers he's shooting are only matched by Steph Curry. Like literally, like that's not hyperbole. If you look at the most number of 3-pointers shot through the first however many games of a season, it's like Steph Curry one year, Steph Curry another year, Steph Curry. And like in the middle of that list is Anthony Edwards, 2024.
Yeah,
So,
it's not this year when you say that. That's all time.
right.
Just volume of shots.
Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, cool. We don't have our best 3-point shooter. Time for me to learn and master 3-point shooting because I know I can slash and get to the lane and dunk when I want. Now, how can I pop and lock from the elbow and make teams have to defend me that way?
Lock.
Pop and lock. Pop and lock, baby. All right. Speaking of funny things to say about basketball players, it's time once again to revisit one of the all-name teams, courtesy of NCAA buzzer beaters and game winners on the platform known as X. Here's an honorable mention for some teams here. We've talked about some of these guys before, so I want to revisit a different list because we've been through so many of these. I want to go to our list here, which is in Division 2. Our first team, all-name team for Division 2. How are we feeling about this list, Corey?
I read left to right like everybody else, left to right, top to bottom. So I start with famous left hand, and that is a stunning name. I love everything about it.
He's a guard from Montana State Billings, famous left hand.
Left hand's wonderful name.
I hope he shoots with his right hand.
And wouldn't that be amazing? It's a great point. But maybe he's got that jelly with the left, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we go to Newberry, where starring at guard is NyQuil O'Fair. Okay.
What, you have to pay a fare now to get NyQuil? What is this?
NyQuil O'Fair, yeah, it's over the counter only.
Oh, is that what the O is for?
Playing center at Colorado Mesa, the best name maybe we've ever come across is Yak Yak.
Yak, or is it like Yak Yak?
I don't care. I'm saying Yak Yak.
And then if you just kind of add it a couple in before, it's like before a Kendrick verse where it's like Yak 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 Yak, and then boom.
I just hope he dunks on people all the time because that's what I would call the dunk, a yak.
I hope that he shoots a lot of threes. So I'm gonna go yak yak, he yaks one up from behind the line.
He's awesome.
You know, like that.
We moved down to Toodles. Toodles Seal from Saginaw Valley State to guard. Toodles.
Can I have Seal, Toodles, please? Come up to the front. You were being requested.
That name sucks. That would suck to have that name.
Who? That's got to be like a nickname his mom or grandma gave him, and like he just loves his grandma, so he just will like he doesn't want to tell her that nickname was awful.
I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't like it even a little bit. How do you spell his last name? Oh, S-E-L. S-E-A-L.
S-E-A-L.
Seal. Toodles.
Toodles. This it sounds like it sounds like an attraction at SeaWorld. Come see Toodles the seal. He catches fish from his mouth.
I went to San Diego in the beach near La Jolla, and there were a bunch of sea creatures on the beach. But the second I showed up, they all ran away. What did you say to them? Toodles, seal.
And then he showed up, and then he dunked.
And then he showed up, and then he dunked. Okay, I'm trying to find out if that's his real name, and it seems like it is.
That's got to be. How about let's go to Mercyhurst. He is playing D1 this season, but he played D2 a year ago, according to this graphic. Bernie Blunt III.
Bernie Blunt III.
The third is what puts it over the top.
What else are you going to do with the blunt?
Yeah.
You're going to Bernie it. That's how it works.
Bernie Blunt.
Bernie Blunt the third time.
Third time's the charm.
And then finally at Tusculum,
Sure.
a guard, J3 Swindle.
J3.
J3, the letter J, the number 3, back to back, much like Division 3, D3, except J3.
Except do you think that needs to be changed to J2 because he's playing in Division 2?
Maybe that's what maybe he's the. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it needs to. It needs to be changed to something probably more normal.
Probably.
What do you think they call him? They just call him J, right?
They have to. Or what they call him, J Trey.
Or is he like Bernie Blunt the third? Is he actually the third Swindle? But there was J Swindle, and then there was J Swindle Jr., who they just called 2. So then they got this one, and there's J3 Swindle.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I can believe that.
Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe and then he just swindles you. He goes in, plays a game of pool, is awful, and then the next game you play for $50, and boom, he just clears the rack on the first hit.
If J3 Swindle sucks at defense, he needs to change his last name too.
Let's take a look at the second team, all name team, and then we'll wrap it up. Biggie Luster, a guard from Northern Michigan.
Yep, Biggie Luster's perfect.
Of course, he's a guard too, and he's probably like a 5'9" point guard. I'm
fine with ironic nicknames. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Mr. Goodlow. Mr.
Goodlow, yeah. Again, another guard. You would think we had a guard named Biggie and then a guard named Goodlow. You would think post players.
Right, you would think, but the Mista Goodlow from Fayetteville State is a guard.
Yep.
Instead, it just makes me always think of that scene from Happy Gilmore where that lady's just going, Mista, and I can't get that out of my head.
We also, next on the list from Oklahoma Baptist, presumably Joe Burrow's brother, Bike. Bike Burrow.
Spelled B-Y-K-E, by the way.
Yep, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, his parents really wanted to be original.
And then we moved to Davis and Elkins College or University or whatever.
Which is by the way, this name is the best name to have if you're going to go to a university called Davis and Elkins.
Charleston Pons.
There needs to be the third at the end of that. He needs to name his kid Charleston Pons, and that guy needs to name his kid Charleston Pons, so it can be Charleston Pons the third, right?
Of course. Charleston Pons is an awesome name. This is like, some of these other ones are silly. Charleston Pons is an awesome name.
I am Charleston Pons the third of the Pons fortune.
It seems like if your name, Charleston Pons seems like the guy who finally at the end of the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie or the Jason Statham movie, Jason Statham just punches him in the face for good measure because that guy was being a dick the entire time. He wasn't the bad guy, but he was just a problem in Jason Statham's side for 93 minutes. And then at the very end, Jason Statham punches Charleston Pons right in the nose, turns around and looks at whoever his beautiful co-host is and said, I needed that. And then the movie ends. They roll credits.
I've had enough of that guy.
Finally, from Indianapolis, it's stick season with Noah Khan.
What do you know about him?
Isn't that the name of the song?
No idea.
No, that's right. We work in country radio.
Yeah.
Season of the Sticks. Mom, it's the season of the sticks, and Mom, but he forgot that I existed. That song, that's the singer of that is Noah Khan.
Not to be confused with Shaka.
No, not to be confused with Noah Khan, the guard from Indianapolis.
Oh, okay. Not like the villain from Star Trek.
No, not like the comedian Theo Vaughn either.
He's Noah Khan. It's like if you go to a backwards universe, they have Last Week Tonight with or whatever. Or what's this called? That's John Oliver. What's this podcast called?
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
The Theo Vaughn podcast.
Yeah, the Theo Vaughn podcast.
Whatever it is, it's instead of Theo Vaughn, it's Noah Khan, and you're in an alternate universe where like Pepsi is red and white, and you know what I mean. Like things are just it's McBurger King or something like you know what I mean. Like. Yeah. That's that alternate universe is Noah Khan. Then
finally from Florida Tech, we have Can Turgott.
Can he do it? He can't just, it's not that he can do it. He can do it, which is a double positive.
Is he from like Montenegro or something?
I don't know. That guy is pretty clear.
The spelling of CAN, first word, and then KAAN, second word. And then Turgut, is it
conclave?
Conclave? I like can.
Can. He's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
Can.
It's like Nas Reed. You should just go by can.
He should just go by can.
Can. 2 words. That's all that really needs to be said, I think.
Can.
We can do it. All right. I suppose that probably wraps it up for us. Let's get out of here. This has been the Morning Sports Desk on a Tuesday, the 19th of November. See you next.
The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.